Hi everybody, I'm Kelly B. Elwings with Bold and Visible, and I'm here today with Angie C.
Hello.
Angie is an amazing performing artist, musician. She is also a neuroscientist doing some really amazing cutting edge work. Can't wait to talk about that. And she's a businesswoman. So you have all sorts of things.
Keeps life interesting.
You cover all the spectrum. Angie and I have worked together a little bit through some of the Bold and Visible work, and Angie performed at the Bold and Visible monologues.
Yep.
So she brought her music and her art to the space, which was just amazing.
Yeah, the whole event was amazing, actually. Yeah,
Yeah.
Really enjoyed it. Very inspiring. I had a few friends that actually came to the event, and
Great.
feedback was really, really good. So, yeah, congratulations for having such a successful event.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
I had the most fun that I've had in ages.
Yeah.
Just having women coming into an art space and performing, but really in an authentic way. And then your work was amazing. So Angie not only sang one of her original songs, well, two original songs.
Yeah. Yep.
Queen, right? And Feel Me,
Yep.
which is your newest release.
Yes.
But she also wore this amazing dress.
Yeah. So it's technically called a fashion tech gown. So fashion technology is sort of a new burgeoning field of the fashion world. And there's a group in Calgary called Make Fashion that specializes in having a whole bunch of designers that create dresses and garments that light up, that have data integrated into it. It's really interesting stuff. So yeah, I had one dress that was made by my friend Maria and wore that in the performance.
It was so beautiful. Especially, the space was dark.
And yeah.
It was a black box theater, and then you had the.
Yeah.
It's
super
magical,
neat.
actually. It's magical.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you can find videos on Spotify.
Yes. So I have some music on Spotify under Angie C, and I'm also on YouTube. I've got a music video actually that features the gown. So if you Google Angie C Feel Me on YouTube, then you should find the video and you can check it out.
Awesome. So I love that. I love that you came and performed at the monologues.
Thank you.
And I
It's
also
very
love
fun.
what you're stepping into. As a woman, and a lot of the work we do is around finding our voice, not just literally as a singer, but also our voice as a woman.
Totally.
And our confidence. But anyways, I'd like to hear a little bit more about what you're up to, like in this space of creativity and finding your true self.
So it's been a journey, that's for sure. I think the older I get, the more I realize how important it is to really link back to what was it that I really enjoyed and loved as a child before, you get kind of bombarded with life and different education and that sort of thing. It's really been a lot of years of just peeling back the layers of all of that and just trying to find that sense of self that's been there all along. So in terms of what I'm doing now, I have a corporate job, which also, it's taught me a lot about business and marketing, a lot of really interesting people skills. And I've actually been able to take those skills and that experience and actually apply it now to things like music, fashion tech, and the different creative things that I do outside of work. So it's really awesome to be able to keep that passion alive and keep those things, kind of happening that really serve the soul, I guess.
Yeah, I love how you said, something about peeling back the parts of us that have kind of layered over
Totally.
to find that true sort of kernel of brightness of who we are.
Yep.
And then,
Yep.
but at the same time, being able to bring with us all of the learning and the
Yep.
expertise and,
Totally.
you know, so you're heading into, I just love about you, your passion for creativity, but then also being able to bring in that business sense.
Yeah. I think in terms of creativity, a lot of times that business sense gets missed, or I know in my own experience, it's almost like you kind of feel like business is this bad thing, or this, I don't know, it's just a completely different subset of type of skills. And so it was so valuable to be immersed in the business world and be able to feel like, oh, like this is actually really cool and interesting, and there's, you know, some really good science behind how it all kind of works. So you can, if you get a chance to see that, I almost think of it like a machine in the business world. So if you have a big corporation, you know, there's all these different departments, and they're doing, you know, things based on what this head office, you know, has in their projections and their plans, and how it all ends up coming together is so interesting. And the fact that, you know, they're planning out 5-10 years in advance, so they're already on to the next thing at head office, when, you know, you're still back here in the field, like maybe as a salesperson, still kind of going through the motions and leading up to the next big thing. So I think the planning part of it really has also helped me in terms of thinking strategically about music and art and where that could go. Yeah, and just kind of all kind of comes together. It's really interesting. Yeah.
Well, you know, I mean, how many years I spent in the corporate world, and you know, all of that, like harvesting everything and being able to bring it forward, and yet stepping into something completely different, and it takes a lot of courage.
Totally.
Can you talk about that a little bit? So, because we've done some work together, and around, you know, really being courageous about stepping forward. So, what are you? What's it like for you? Like, you know, I mean, we're going into this bigger game. We know there's more possibility.
Yep. I think it's really exciting to think about all of the what ifs. I think one of the biggest things that you taught me was about, I don't know, I can't remember what we were chatting about, but it was about, you kind of have this threshold that you reach in your mind, and you think you can't go farther, or your mind is too overwhelmed, or it's such a big task that you just end up kind of maybe playing a little smaller than you should. But really, I think the best advice was just take a little step over that threshold to just sort of slowly expand your experience and your mind. And then it's almost like you look back and you think, oh my gosh, I just did that, and that was not as hard as it seemed, or I thought it would be. So
totally,
I think that's like such a valuable lesson for sure.
I know, it seems little tiny steps, right?
Yeah,
it seems
the micro
like a
steps.
small thing.
Yeah.
However, it is really about our nervous system.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, because we're inside of, often humans in general are inside of pathways of safety.
Yeah.
And we bring, you know, a lot of our patterns from the past and a lot of stories. And so being able to, you know, be conscious of what those are. And we work a lot on letting go of those, but also just taking those small steps a little outside of the comfort zone actually literally trains us, right? And I mean, you're from their neurological perspective,
totally.
It allows our sympathetic nervous system to say, hey, wait a minute, I can do this. And although they seem small,
it adds up.
I always think, you know, like I realized, I can't remember when, but I can go further in 1 week taking tiny steps than I can in a year being stuck.
Yep.
Because it's too big for me to, I get into overwhelm.
Yep, totally.
Right?
Yeah. And I think too, before, like let's say there was a project I was thinking of doing, even just not knowing where to start. So I think even identifying what's that first step, whether it be, is it you just maybe have to send an email, or maybe you have to go just start talking to people about it, and see if you can connect with somebody that's been through a process that's similar. So I think too, like having good mentorship is incredible for really fast forwarding the process if you want to get to a certain goal that's larger than maybe what you've gone for in the past.
Absolutely. In my life, mentors have been incredibly important to me.
Yeah.
And I also feel like in the work I do with Bold and Visible, it really is about women.
Yeah.
Because it's not exclusive. I mean, it's not anti-men at all. But I work with women.
Yeah.
But it's getting us together to support each other. So this one-on-one mentorship, and then mentorship where we can actually help each other leverage and amplify what we're doing in the world makes such a huge difference.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and I think it's something that's really, I think you've mentioned this before, it's something that's really needed right now in the world. Even if I look at corporate culture, it's still a very male-dominated thing when you look at senior executive leadership positions. I know there's a lot of talk in different industries about how do we get more women into more senior business positions, that sort of thing. But I think too, it's that there hasn't always been like the mentorship there for women to know how to achieve the next level. And that's like, it's much easier when you see somebody who's walking the talk, or what's the saying? Because you can just learn things so much more quickly because it's someone's embodying that thing that you're looking to go do. So I think it's starting to change, but what you're doing I think is going to really accelerate the process and up-level some women to some really cool places.
Yeah, well, I love your language. I love the how you talk about we haven't had the role models.
Yeah.
We just haven't, and it's not good or bad. And then how you talk about embodying it. It really is about who we're being. Yeah. And not just what we're doing and saying, right? So and having women who've gone through probably the tough challenges. So for me, being a CEO, being in leadership in high stakes negotiations and so forth, I always, I had a lot of learning to do and a lot of my own old patterns that I would, for example, I'd throw things out on the table, but just kind of throw them out in a way that wasn't really owning them, and I wasn't owning my voice, and then someone would pick it up and take it, and it would become their own, and I'd think, they stole my idea, they were always stealing. But so I had a lot of learning to do, and now we have women coming forward who've been through those processes of transformation in the world, and can bring the feminine to the workplace as well. Do you have any perspectives on that?
Well, I think what's popping in my mind right now is a really awesome book called The Confidence Code.
Yes. Excellent book.
Such a great book for any women out there. It's The Confidence Code, and it speaks directly to confidence for women and how it shows up. So these two ladies went on a complete deep dive of why is it that men can just seem so confident. They just put themselves out there, and no offense men, but sometimes they have the overconfidence a little bit, or like how do they just always raise their hand, or they don't even raise their hand, they just get up and they say it and they blurt it out, whereas women tend to be a little more cautious in terms of voicing opinions. Maybe there's like some self-doubt or fear of what people will think. So they really want to get to the bottom of, was this something like biological? Was it psychological? Is it societal? So they asked tons of experts around the world. They even did like DNA tests on themselves to like see if there was a gene, you know, kind of linking
a
to
gene
all of
for
this.
confidence.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They interviewed like some really accomplished women. I think one of the CEO of the World Monetary Fund or World Bank, they interviewed her. But I think at the end of the day, what they really came back to is that it looks different for women, and we really just have to embrace that and trust it, and find our voice and our confidence, and just not be afraid to put it out there, because what we have to say and our opinions, like, they're valued, and we do a lot of research and, you know, information. Like, we really make good decisions.
We have a lot to offer.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's an amazing book. I love that book. And I've done some of my own research with my executive clients that really mirrors a lot of what they talk about.
Totally.
Around these things, like, you know, some of the issues that still for women, even in currently, like, you would never know that they have these issues because they're in these leadership positions, but you know, they're afraid to speak their truth. They don't want to look like they're taking all the credit.
That's another big one.
Right, they don't want to take up too much space, or you know, the other one, it's really interesting, we've talked about this before, is taking up too much time.
Yes.
And all of this is in the body. So the thing that I like to do is work with the body more than the mindset, because we've all read the book. I always say this, but we've all read the books, right? The Brené Brown.
Yeah, totally.
We know all this stuff, and so let's get the mindset of confidence. But actually, we do a lot of practices in the body and getting into presence, because it's we have a voice.
We do.
We deserve to use it.
Totally.
We need to use it, and but it takes literal practice, right?
Yeah, for sure.
It takes practice. And we met at the Fearless Women's Conference.
Yeah. So that was actually a really inspiring day. I remember seeing an ad, I think it was on Facebook, for the Fearless Women Summit, and they were giving away a prize for Lady Gaga tickets for coming. So I'm like, okay, let's go.
Go see Lady Gaga.
So I really didn't know what to expect, and I went in, and I think you were the first presenter that I saw, and I was so blown away by Callie's story and her whole presentation. And when she started talking about confidence for women and these, you know, kind of the general trends that even women in high-level positions still face, it was just like a light bulb went on. I was like, I need to go talk to her. Like, this was meant to be. And so here we are. So if you get a chance to check out Fearless Women Summit, it's a very good event.
Charlotte does an amazing job, and she travels the summit around. It's great. I was going to say something really important. Obviously, it wasn't that important.
Lady Gaga?
Lady Gaga? Yeah, exactly. I think that, this is what it is. You know, I speak to it in terms of visibility. Confidence, to me, has a lot to do with visibility. And, you know, in my own life, I have been at opposite poles, right? Like, I've been in places where I really contracted, held myself back. Basically, I could be in a room and no one would even know I'm there. I've also been in places where I've tried to negotiate and push and, you know, felt like I needed to kind of take it on, and I wasn't received, right? Because in that posture, it actually pushes people away.
Interesting, yeah.
And so for me, when I talk about visibility and confidence, if we are going to really live into our mission in the world, we have to be visible. But it's not about see me, see me. It's actually about dropping the patterns that are holding us back from just being ourself. and letting ourselves have permission to shine, and just to be giving the gifts we have in the world, like your gifts for music.
Yeah. Yeah.
And your gifts for presence and your beauty and your message, right? And so it's funny because visibility sounds like it's like this, you know, egotistical thing, or, you know, I'm going to get famous. But actually, it's just, and it starts with seeing ourself.
Yeah. Which is hard to do.
Yeah.
I don't know. I've kind of always struggled with it. Yeah. Any thoughts on that? On how to see yourself?
Well, you know, myself and a lot of women in my life, we tend to put our attention on others first, right?
Yeah.
We've heard a lot of don't be so big, you know, you know, and we train ourselves to play small. And it's okay, give credit to others, which is great. Being collaborative, giving credit to others, it's so important.
Yeah.
But unless we can actually truly turn toward ourselves and really like deeply value who we are and see ourselves, we're always trying to attract others to either see us or we're trying to hide. So a lot of the deep work that we do is really around our self-work, right? It's around owning, feeling like not, and it's not a sticker for the wall to, what do you call it?
Like a certificate?
Tony Robbins affirmation or whatever.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
It's like from that true sense of
totally
trusting ourselves and knowing who we are.
Yeah. And it's funny too, like I think you can, I don't know, I find myself like I know like who I am, but then it's like, am I willing to show that to the world fully? Like,
right.
Because then there's things, well, do I really just be the artist that I want to be? And
right.
just, you know, be vulnerable when I'm thinking, oh, well, I'm a corporate woman and like I can't go, you know, too artsy because then it could be like detrimental to my corporate life. So it's kind of almost like I'm always walking this.
Yeah. What's at stake though when we do that?
I guess our true self.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, you know, giving more and more ourselves permission to be fully who we are. And it's funny, right? As soon as, do you notice that as soon as you step into yourself, people notice, people
oh, totally.
like feel, oh, Angie, here you are. Like I see, like
100%. Yeah. Yeah. Yep. And even if I think about just corporate life again, but even like the best conversations that I've had with people, it's always when it's just relaxed and just, you know, chit chat, very casual, right? And just really, like letting all those barriers down. So, yeah.
So what is your vision for yourself next, for your creative world in terms of you're preparing another
so I've got a
release?
few so I'm so I do a lot of music in the pop and electronic music genre. So I have a new song coming out probably in the next month or so with my good friend Mitchell Claxton. He's a really awesome electronic producer. And we did a song with our friend Lambert, who plays saxophone, called Love Illusion. And
Love Illusion.
Love Illusion, yeah. So it's kind of a story about, like, you know, two people meet. It really seems great, like sparks are flying, and you know, but then at some point one person's in it more than the other, and then the other kind of breaks away, and it's almost like their love was an illusion. So that's why it's called Love Illusion.
Got it, okay.
Yeah. So we're really excited about that song. And then I'm also gearing up plans to do an album. So we have a really cool trick up our sleeve that involves using some cutting edge technology, like brainwave headsets, and applying it to some older electronic instruments. So we're just working on getting the funding for that, and then we should be hitting the road with that project pretty shortly, fairly soon. Yeah.
I love it. I love how you're marrying the science with the music, with your creativity around that.
Yeah, it's really interesting because historically those worlds have been very separate, the art and the science. Science is very logical, and you have your procedures and experimental techniques and that sort of thing. And then with art, it's a very different thing altogether. It's very subjective. It's very much about just like feeling into your own imagination and the things around you, and it's just such a cool process. So marrying the two things is interesting because it's like you have all data or science or logic, but then you have to kind of let that flow with the art, and it's pretty cool.
It sounds so holistic to me, and actually I hope you brand that. I hope you brand this flavor.
I don't know,
somehow.
I don't know what to do about that.
Well,
so
we need to work on your story.
Yes. For sure.
Because somehow there's some gem in there. I mean, this
totally.
So cool. So amazing. Yeah. I know a little bit about the project. It's going to be really neat. That's so awesome. So what would what words would you leave with women who are stepping out of their comfort zone into becoming more of who they are in the world and really showing up to let the world see them?
I think one of the most important things is to really recognize fear and get comfortable with it, and learn that fear serves a purpose when it's actually saving you from something something you really should be saved from, like physical or whatever, right? But a lot of times our mind puts these barriers of fear up, and they're not really true. It's not truth. So I really would encourage taking that little micro step into fear, or just dip a toe, see what it feels like, and I guarantee you'll wonder why you didn't take that step years ago, or sooner, kind of thing. So I think getting comfortable with fear and learning how to assess fear and move past it is probably the biggest piece of advice that I would have.
Beautiful. I love that. I love it because I always find that, I mean, honestly, if I'm afraid of something, if I'm really afraid of it, I know that, oh my gosh, behind that fear is probably a talent. It's probably something that I'm going to love. So, or that I'm naturally good at, or that I'm here to do. It's like fear the body knows, like resistant. Fear to me is like this thing to keep me from really seeing. And so just taking the little steps.
And follow your gut, like intuition.
Absolutely.
Which sometimes fear can be confused because you think you're getting a message not to go and do something. But I think intuition is more of a knowing that you're on the right path, and just listen to that little voice that's like quietly in there saying, hey, like, I wonder if this would be really cool if this were to happen, or if I were to do this. Like, I think trusting that voice is super important.
Yeah, it's wise, right? It comes from a place that it's at our center, and that's where in somatics we talk about moving from our center. But as you know, the center actually has more neurons and neural connections than the brain. It's so interesting.
Really cool stuff.
And we don't give it enough cred, right? It's the sensing into something versus thinking into it. We need both, but
totally.
Like when we're cut up off here. Beautiful. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you.
I can't wait to see your next release. When is it coming?
We haven't set an official date yet, but I'm thinking probably within the next month. We will have it coming out on Spotify and iTunes and wherever you like to listen to music.
Great. So check out Angie C on Spotify, and you're obviously on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. You have a lot of
YouTube,
viewers on YouTube. And Angie, hope to see Angie at our next Bold and Visible monologues.
Yes.
Maybe storytelling, but also performing.
Yes. Can't wait.
Awesome.
Yay.
Thanks, Angie.
Thank you.
Okay, great. Bye for now, guys.
Bye.